Good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to today's webinar. Let's begin this session with a brief introduction about our organization, Organogenic. Organogenic is an agri-biotech startup founded by Dr. Shamini, based in Chennai, and incubated in Birax Bioness Golden Jubilee Biotech Park for Women. Our innovative products are aimed at solving real-life problems in the agribusiness and improving its quality and sustainability. We are a team of creative and enthusiastic early professionals with a high moral to bring great changes and impact to our agricultural land. I welcome colleague Vaishnavi to carry over the session now. Thank you.
So, thank you, Janashri. Here's a hearty welcome. Begin warm enough to encompass you all. To say we are thrilled is just an understatement. Many of you have made a lot of effort to join us today. On behalf of us all, I would like to greatly appreciate and offer you a most grateful welcome. It gives us colossal gratification to honor Dr. Prem Alex Lawrence, who is MTS, FICOI, DICOI implantologist, doctor and co-founder, Gold Dental Care, Chennai. His expertise in laser periodontics and periodontical plastic surgeries. He is a diplomat and a fellow of International Congress of Oral Implantologists, USA. He has received numerous prestigious awards and have successfully placed and restored more than 5,000 dental implants. And here, with no further delay, I would like to request Dr. Prem Alex Lawrence to embrace this session. And before that, kindly note that questions from the participants will be entertained at the end of this sessions. Please send your sessions as a message, queries as a message in the chat box, which will be clarified by our guest. And the feedback link will be during this session will be provided to you, which you have to fill and submit to us so that you will receive your certifications. Thanks a lot. I will request Dr. Prem to take over this session.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and thank you, Organogenic Biotech, for inviting me to this platform. And as she had already mentioned everything about me, I don't have to go much into it. Thanks also, Dr. Shamini, for actually, finding me out and bringing me to this forum. So today I would like to talk a little about how dental emergencies can be managed during this pandemic time, and also a brief into what are the oral microbial load that is present around your mouth, as well as your gum tissue which surrounds your tooth. So I would like to, without further ado, I can proceed, right? Vaishnavi?
Yes.
So before proceeding, I would like to, because I have seen your webinars a lot of time, and all your webinars had a lot of heavy content and all theoretical, and it was like I was astonished at the amount of participants with all your microbiological knowledge and all. And but I am a clinician. I am basically a very hardcore clinician and a surgeon. I have placed more than 5,000 dental implants, and I am more of a surgeon to be precise. And I've placed more than 5,000 dental implants, as she said. And to add it up, I have been in a corporate dentistry for some time. So these are the brief before I would like to proceed further. And moreover, I'm a dad to a princess, and to keep it there. Why dentistry? Why dentistry is very important. This guy is a South Korean, very famous South Korean politician. So look at he wants to he wants to actually, he's a, I think the video is not running. Okay, so I'll just pass it across. What happens is he tries to speak and one of his denture comes out. He's wearing a denture, or in Tamil we say palsette. This comes out as he talks. So he was so aggressive in his speech, and during halfway through, while his denture comes off, the whole his aggression comes down, and he's like, completely becomes modest and humble, and like, the whole his speech changes. So that is the power of one denture, which can ruin your entire political career. So what I do is that, we are on a mission that, we don't want a denture to be placed in a glass of water. You would have seen your probably your grandparents or some old people in your family who would have actually used a denture, and at night you would have seen them, removing the dentures and put it in a glass of water. So I am on a mission to actually remove all these things, not use dentures and convert them into fixed. So what I do, basically, I will let you know. What I do is basically something called implants, and these are nothing but implants are nothing but a titanium fixtures that are placed inside the maxilla or the mandible or the jawbones, the upper jawbone and the lower jawbone, and these over which we give a teeth like this. So in patients who don't have teeth, I fix at least 4 implants, or even this is how an all-on-4 implant works. I think the videos are not running. That's okay. So yeah. So this is how we do implants, or this is my forte or my strength in what I do. I relieve people out of their denture and kind of give them the best possible fixed prosthesis. So these are again single implants which I would have placed where patients who would have this guy particularly has a story that he was wearing a denture for a very long time, flipper for a very long time, and when he drinks water, this comes off. So in a single day, I can change these guys to fixed teeth. And again a single implant. These are I just wanted to brief across what I do basically before I enter into the microbiological or the managing our dental emergency per se. And moreover, I also teach implants. I also have an academy where I run courses where budding dentists are taught how to place an implant. So these are my strength. So the first thing that comes to your mind when you talk with Nikki, I know when a dentist is going to talk, the first thing that comes to your mind should have been this. We would have seen. You'd have seen a dentist like a butcher, or probably if you are 90s kids or 80s kids, you'd have seen a Mr. Bean's, Mr. Bean's visit to the dentist, where he himself drills his teeth, puts fillings, and finally he makes sure that the dentist also collapses. So these are the usual things that run in our mind, when name of the dentist comes. But this is not so. These are real dentists who work along with me. Okay, so dentistry has come a long way nowadays. The dentistry, the way we practice dentistry along with the science. Why I wanted to tell you right now, because we have embraced every part of technology that has come alongside, such as right from CAD/CAM till computer guided surgeries. Today I do robotic surgeries. Today I do a few surgeries which are robotic guided, which are already guided, and make sure that the patient gets the best care. And the field has enormously increased in advanced in technology in the past, say, almost 5 to 10 years time. So going to oral microbiome, yes, they say mouth is the mirror of the body, or many of our diseases are first time at times found in the mouth. And why? Because why it happens is also we need to understand what are the microorganisms basically that are present in the mouth, and how these can spread and also cause other medical issues. As you know, you'd have known human microbiome. Like, they say we are not anymore a human being. We actually carry loads of microorganisms. And in fact, this previously it was considered that the microorganism colonize us, but actually, in fact, we are walking microorganisms. So humans are actually colonized by humpty number of microorganisms. The traditional estimate is actually around more than the human cells. The non-human cells, such as bacteria, reside in a ratio at least 10 times, they say. And certain studies also say it is almost 3:1. So that's why I mentioned that we are actually walking microorganisms. And similarly, human oral microbiome is also very, very important, because our mouth is also it's a wild ecosystem, which is actually very wild, and it's populated by living things that actually also play a very, very vital role in our well-being as well as in our confidence. Some microorganisms that colonize us are actually commensals that, they coexist without harming, but others also have, causes other diseases. And they say around 6 billion microorganisms live in your mouth. 6 billion. In fact, the world population is around only 7.8. So imagine the amount of bacteria or the microorganisms that are present inside your mouth. And scientists also have mapped around 46 million genes inside your mouth, with at least half of the genes are very unique to you. And they say these genes can be actually, transferred to your spouse or your relatives. You may have a common genetic oral microbiome as well. So why dentistry? Why? Because I know many of you know that this is diamond. Okay, the diamond, they call it as the girl's best friend, or girl's best friend. I would say a dog or something like that as a best friend. Diamond should be the next best friend. Okay, whatever. But a diamond is the hardest known substance, naturally occurring substance known to man, right? But enamel is the second hardest substance known to man, naturally occurring, and still our kutti microorganisms can destroy enamel. That is the power of the microorganisms that we have. So there are a few microorganisms that are, a multitude of microorganisms in the mouth, but I will just brief across three. I did not teach microbiology to most of the audience here, but three of the major microorganisms that impact clinical situation resulting in oral diseases as well as general diseases, I will brief it across. These three diseases, like, number one fellow, I would call number one fellow is Streptococcus mutans. This guy is a facultatively anaerobic as well as gram-positive coccus, which is commonly found in the human oral cavity, and is also it is the significant contributor of decay. Or decay is the one of the most prevalent. Everybody, I guess, all the panelists as well as all the people who are watching will have at least one decay in your mouth, or would have undergone a filling in your mouth. So this guy, this kutti little guy, is the one who causes all these decay, along with the other. There are a few other of the same family, and these microorganisms, Streptococcus mutans, can actually sit on your tooth, on the crevices of your tooth, because the tooth is not polished. So these guys can sit in your tooth and actually convert into an acidic environment and start irritating the so-called second hardest substance known to man, the enamel. So once they breach the enamel, though the tooth may look very hard and outside, the center portion, actually the tooth may look very subtle, and it may look very inert, but the center portion of the tooth contains something called your pulp, or which contains your nerves and vessels. So when this guy touches the pulp of the tooth, that is where you start getting all the pain of not able to sleep, not able to lie down, not able to eat anything. So this little guy can create such a havoc in your mouth. The next guy I would suggest, I would talk about is Porphyromonas gingivalis. This is again a causative factor of a disease called gingivitis, or your preliminary gum disease. This is most commonly present in your gums, and as a commensal. But when their environment, or when the environment is favorable for them, they start irritating your gums and start the gum disease. When I say the environment not being favorable, is something where that the plaque formation or the biofilm formation. When a biofilm is formed, these guys settle down there and create havoc there and start your gum disease. These are non-motile, and they are gram-negative and anaerobic, as well as they form black colonies on blood agar like this. These are also associated with periodontal diseases. We call it periodontitis. Is nothing but the advanced version of your gum disease when your bone is involved, so that the end result will be the tooth becomes mobile. There is a people say, why side it's I got old, my tooth fell off. That's not the scenario, actually. To be frank, even a 90-year-old, 100-year-old person can maintain good oral hygiene if their gum tissues are maintained properly. So these guys play a major role in your gums as well as in your bone, creating a disease called periodontitis, which will result in eventually tooth loss. The next guy I would say is a kind of a tongue twister, Aggregatibacter actinomycetum committens. These guys were previously called as Actinobacillus actinomycetum committens. They are also again facultatively anaerobic and also non-motile, and they also form a kind of a pattern like this. So that's why they aggregate and form like a floral pattern usually. These guys are also associated along with gum disease called chronic periodontitis, which happens at a slightly older age, say 30, 35 years old. But this guy is primarily responsible for a disease called aggressive periodontitis. Personally, I will tell you a story. I had a patient she was 17 years old, and 17-year-old kid, she had all her teeth mobile and completely gone. This guy is the culprit. So we restored, we placed implants. That's the second part of the story. But this bacteria can actually affect can catch you very early and cause diseases, especially around your first molars, central incisors, which are formed around, like, they are erupting around the 6 years, when you are 6 years old. Then we have also diseases where they are present, prevalent all around the mouth, causing bone loss, severe bone loss. They are very aggressive, severe bone loss, and loss of tooth at a very, very, very early age. Say they would have lost all their teeth or majority of their teeth by, say, they are 20-25 years. This is also again a very, very aggressive disease, which needs to be checked and found very, very earlier stage itself. So the microorganisms, the microbes in your mouth not only include just bacteria. There are viruses and also fungi, but these form the majority. And living in the mouth actually gives them a huge access to the entire gut and to the entire body, because they can access the bloodstream also through the mouth. The microbes of the mouth are actually a very important part of the natural ecosystem of the oral cavity. It is definitely not possible to see them like this. They are not visible, but they are definitely always present, even when you eat, when you drink, when you sleep, when you even passionately kiss someone else. They are always there. They are always there in your mouth. And mouth being a very complex environment, mouth is not just a polished surface. They are made up of multitude of structures, such as such as your tongue surface, your rough tooth surface, your palate. These are like the fun city of bacteria. They just sit there. They have a source of water. A lot of nutrients are available, and they are also relatively warm compared to the other parts of the body. So how do they get transported to the other parts of the body? Saliva. Saliva is the major transporter of oral bacteria. We know that saliva is made up of 98% of water, and the human salivary gland can produce around 1.5 liters of saliva every day. And this liquid keeps the mouth hydrated and also helps to digest your food. But oral bacteria, in the other side, the oral bacteria can also hitch a ride in your saliva and spread throughout the body, including to your gut and to the bloodstream. Some are also destroyed by the stomach acid, but others, like I called Porphyromonas gingivalis, P. gingivalis, this guy is also linked to your gut imbalance, gut microbiome and imbalance. So generally, when you swallow, there will be lots of bacteria, but most of it won't colonize your gut. However, in serious diseases, increased amounts of oral bacteria has been reported in gut, suggesting there is a link between the mouth as well as the gut. And in the mouth, these bacterial cells cause gum disease, but they are also linked to other serious diseases which come further. I would say gum disease. On the left, you see a healthy gum where you have a tooth and the gums present at we call it cemento-enamel junction. At the enamel junction, they are there, properly there. The bone is also healthy. Then it progresses. When there is then a little bit of bacterium and local factors such as your food and other products are there, it progresses to a disease called gingivitis, where then just the gums are inflamed. But when it progresses to periodontitis, that is where your bleeding gums, your bad smell called halitosis, all these things happen. So I would suggest there was once an article, once an article once the front page of Reader's Digest. carried these two headlines. One was happy second marriages, okay, and the second was a visit to the dentist can actually save your life. I will tell you why. Gum disease is majorly connected to a lot of diseases. One being your obesity, your gastric cancer, your pancreatic cancer, and type 2 diabetes. It is very, very well established. Your fatty livers and preterm low birth weight babies, very, very well established. And also forms these P. gingivalis and AAs can actually be a part of your atherosclerotic plaque, causing cardiac issues, and also your esophageal cancer and many more. In fact, they are linked to rheumatoid arthritis, even mental disorders. Many diseases are actually linked to your gum disease as well as to these bacteria. So why does this happen? Because people who have gum disease usually swallow a lot of P. gingivalis and other bacteria, and this bacteria is particularly resilient to the adverse conditions of the stomach acidity, and also travel to the gut and then enter into the circulation. And they may also trigger a little bit of immune system and also promote inflammation. That is how they are mostly related to your rheumatoid arthritis as well. So these are the few bacteria of the mouth that are actually associated to various diseases. It is very well established that P. gingivalis can cause dementia and even up to the level of Alzheimer's disease, and also P. gingivalis and Prevotella intermedia. These are the few of these bacteria can actually increase your heart disease, as well as poor dental health can increase, affect your heart valves. Oral health are maybe particularly important if you have an artificial heart. This may result in a stroke or myocardial infarction or your coronary artery disease or atherosclerosis. These are various diseases that are caused by these little bacteria that occupy our mouth. And as I told you, diabetes, that is one thing that amazes me. Again, if you ask me, I have a story to tell that, diabetes, it is a double-sided, they say there are 6 complications of diabetes, such as your nephropathy, your retinopathy, your neuropathy. Likewise, the 6th complication of diabetes is gum disease or periodontitis. When you have an uncontrolled diabetes, the resultant issue will be periodontitis. That is why all the major diabetic hospitals will have a dental clinic and a periodontist or a gum disease specialist inside. And the reverse is also true. When you treat gum disease, your sugar level also comes into play. I have had multitude of patients, especially last week we had a patient who was suffering from an uncontrolled diabetes, who we had treated her with a little bit of gum treatment, post which her sugar level came under control. So this is the way the mouth and the oral cavity and the general diseases are connected, because the oral bacteria reduces your insulin sensitivity as well. Then they are connected to a few cancers as well. Your pancreatic cancer, your P. gingivalis has been established as a contributing factor for pancreatic cancer. So this being your basis of why mouth is important, your oral cavity is important, why it has to be kept neat and clean, and why a visit to the dentist can actually save your life and also predict a lot of future diseases that you may acquire. So how do we identify this gum disease? Very simple. It is about you spit after brushing your teeth. You see a lot of blood in your, or when you wake up in the morning, you see blood in your oral cavity. That is a clear indication that there is something wrong in your oral cavity, and something is brewing inside the gums. So for example, when we comb our hair, if there is a bleeding from the scalp, it definitely indicates that you have a issue and you need to attend to it. Similar to that, when you brush your teeth, if you find even a little bit of blood, it definitely indicates that there is some form of gum disease that is brewing, and you will have to meet a dentist. So how to take care? It is about proper oral hygiene measures. There are at least 10 different kinds of brushing techniques. To be very frank, I know all these techniques, but still I get a scaling done or a cleaning done from one of my fellow doctor once in every 6 months. Why? Because there are a few areas of your mouth where your brush will not reach, your mouthwash will not reach, and your floss will not help as well. So brushing twice a day is going to help in this scenario. A simple brushing can eliminate majority of these, bacteria spreading into your gut and to your bloodstream. And what I may also advise is the use of a mouthwash and a floss. Floss is nothing but a thread like thing, waxed thread like thing that is passed between your teeth to clean the area between your teeth. So a good oral hygiene, goes for a long way. And when you have a gum disease, these are the things that we do. We do something called laser gum treatment, where we use lasers. Basically, we in dentistry right now, we use a lot of diode lasers, which are used to remove the bacteria from the periodontal area or the gum area. They say in a healthy mouth, there are around 10 to the power of 8 amount of bacteria, 10 followed by 8 zeros. When someone has a gum disease, it goes up to the 10 to the power of 13. And when we use lasers around the gum area, around the crevices of your gums, it comes down to the 10 to the power of 3, somewhere in the hundreds. And it repopulates again up to 10 to the power of 8 in 7 days' time to a healthy oral microbial environment. So when we treat with lasers, there is a faster recovery. There is very less pain. There are no stitches and less bleeding. All these things are comfort for a patient, and almost the recovery time is very, very, very faster. So these are few things we do in and now coming to the pandemic situation right now. If you ask me, is it the right time to visit a dental clinic? 2 months back, I would have said, please remain in your house. But dental clinics have always been a safer place to visit. I will give you a situation where maybe pre-corona, pre-pandemic time, if you had visited a general doctor, general physician, he would have definitely held your hands for pulse, and he would have checked your eyes for anemia without wearing a gloves, right? But have you ever seen a dentist working on your mouth without a gloves? So as a dentist, we were always prepared to manage all sorts of infections. We always follow the general precautions, and it is definitely safe to visit most of the dental clinics, because all the dental clinics have taken into consideration the whatever the Dental Council of India has advised, whatever the WHO has advised us to take care of, and we were always safe. We were always following the universal precautions. There was a time, say 10 years back, I was told, treat every patient like a HIV positive patient. So that is what we still practice, and so that is keeping us safe from. And in fact, dental clinics are, according to one of the journal, dental clinics fall under the mild risk of transmission, whereas your moderate risk is even your your marriage halls and these things, and major risk is in fact traveling in the same car. So dental clinics are most likely the most safest place to actually visit right now, even then. But I will brief across a few emergency situations which you can handle at your house itself using certain home care methods. So what do we call the general emergency? In general, any dental problem that actually needs an immediate treatment to stop bleeding, or to remove a severe pain, or to save a tooth is considered as a dental emergency. So why did I want to talk about, when Dr. Shamini approached me, why did I want to talk about this, was that because in the last 2 months, I was flooded with dental consultations over the phone as well as video calls. I was actually originally of the idea that teledentistry cannot happen, because any other part of medicine, you can definitely speak to a doctor, get a medicine, and get your treatment done. But in a dental clinic, it is always a dentist has to operate on you. But I had found that there are few remedies that can be kind of homemade, and this lockdown as a revelation for me, in fact. And so I've started doing a lot of telemedicine also, consultations over the phone, over WhatsApp, or messages, etc. So the most common ailment I saw in the last 3 months was bleeding gums. So people had bleeding gums and wanted to know how to stop bleeding gums. So the bleeding can be due to 3 reasons. One can be a trauma. You fell down somewhere and started bleeding, or while brushing, or early morning you see a lot of blood in your mouth. When it is traumatic, the brushing and the early morning bleeding will require a visit to the dentist, a professional scaling done so that it can be adjusted. But traumatic, when you fall down or you hit somewhere and you got a bleeding in your gums, apply some cold ice wrapped around that around a cold cloth for 3 to 5 minutes. It should stop. Do not stop the compression in 1 or 2 minutes. There are few patients who just apply in a minute or two. They just remove and see whether the bleeding has stopped. Do not do that. Wait for at least 3 to 5 minutes, considering your clotting time, etc. If it is bleeding from the gums on brushing or early morning, you see a lot of bleeding from the gums. It is definitely indicative of whatever I was talking previously, gum disease, which will have to address in a dental clinic. But if you say that I am scared to go out, or I am scared to venture out, you can definitely buy something called a gum tone powder. This is an Ayurvedic powder, which is a styptic, which can actually reduce your bleeding. Gum tone, GUMTONE. This can be used as a home-based remedy. You can apply it around your gums and wait for some time, and you can apply it thrice a day. The gum bleeding will come down, but eventually you'll have to meet a dentist. The next most common ailment, probably right now, if you ask me, that is the most common ailment that has happened in the last 120, 20, 25 odd days, was wisdom tooth pain. Wisdom tooth is nothing but your third molars, which are, due to, as a part of evolution, our jaw sizes are shrinking and the number of teeth still remains the same. So, like, for example, you have a small parking lot and you have two to three cars to park. You don't have a space, and one of the car has to go out or be positioned in a different direction. That is how wisdom tooth also, the problem starts, because there is no space for the tooth to come. So eventually it tries to come out halfway. It will be stuck somewhere. And if you can look at here, this is something called the gum tissue overlapping your wisdom tooth, which can act like a bag or a pocket. So what happens is, when you eat something, the food particles can get into your between this portion, this pocket like area or a bag like area, and even your brush or your mouthwash will not clean this area. And eventually, actually, ideally, our brush will not reach this area at all because of the size of the brush. A kid's brush will reach this area, but eventually, if the food is retained there, what happens is it gets putrefied and hydrogen sulfate gas is released, and there's a lot of gum infection around that area. All our bacteria come sit there, create all sorts of issues. And what happens is we start getting pain, a lot of pain. So this, usually what we can do is that a little bit of salt water gargling or saline gargling, you just have a little bit of hot water, put a little bit of salt, and brush get a kid's brush. Make sure that you clean that area, maintain it. If the pain is very severe, do a teleconsultation first with your dentist. Make sure that you get a painkiller. If it doesn't subside, probably you will have to get a extraction done or an impaction done, with all the protocols followed. Next common is another emergency which we saw was kids, falling down, because they're all in lockdown, no schools, nothing, just 2 hours of online. We all have experienced. So they tend to play, they tend to fall down, they break their teeth. So if broken like this, what you'll have to look at is examine the area where it is broken. If you see a central area which is red, that means that the pulp or the area where your, the blood vessel of the teeth is exposed, that means that is a serious situation, which will warrant you to meet a dentist to get a root canal treatment, or we call it pulpectomy in case of a child tooth or a milk tooth. So if this is exposed, you will have to meet a dentist. If not, it can be filled at a later stage. Your aesthetics can wait for some time. If there are any sharp edges, you can use wax. You can use wax and apply it, or probably you can meet a dentist. A simple tooth colored material will be fixed there, and making sure that it is taken care. Another most common thing which we saw is that a dislodged crown, that you would have got a root. I know many would have got a root canal treatment done in your mouth, and after root canal treatment, we dentists give something called a crown. So this crown can actually get dislodged when we eat something, when we eat some sticky food or chewing gums, that can come out. Please, please, please do not put them back in your mouth. Just put it in a cover. Wait, try to meet your dentist, because if you put it in the same position in the mouth, you have chances that you may ingest it, and you may have other issues other than a simpler complication will lead to a larger complication. So try to visit a dentist, but it is not a major emergency. That if it is a back tooth, wait for some time and you can visit a dentist later. If it's a front tooth, visit a dentist and get it fixed. It's a 10 minutes job for the dentist to do. Next thing, because we are all undergo a lot of stresses during this time, the lockdown and financial stress, family stress. Even someone told me that I have never known my wife this much. Only the lockdown has helped me. So, but that can also add to stress. Okay, the other way also around. So the painful mouth ulcers can also happen during this stressful time. So this can be easily treated by keeping the area clean. These mouth ulcers can happen. This can be treated by simple mouthwash or keeping the area clean. But if it is very, very painful, I would advise some analgesic and antiseptics. These are all, whatever I am suggesting, are over-the-counter drugs. These are not prescription based. So you can walk into any medical shops and medical shops will give you these medicines. One called Mucopain, which can actually, or a Dologel CT. This can be applied onto the ulcer so that you don't, that you can remain without pain. Also increase your vitamin intake, either in the form of food or in supplements. So something like a Bicosils or some normal vitamin supplements will help. Usually these ulcers are self-limiting. They will die down in they will become normal in 2 days time. But if it is extending beyond 2 days, meet your dentist. Probably we still do something called a laser, we do laser treatment onto those ulcers and remove them immediately or give immediate relief to the patient. Next thing is, as I told you, people wearing dentures that can become loose, and this is the time you don't want your grandparents to venture out to meet a dentist, because of considering their comorbidities and all. So simple fix will be something called a Fix-On powder. This is also available. It will be available in any medical shop. You'll have to sprinkle a little bit onto the onto the denture, onto the inside surface of denture, and they will have to hold it into the mouth for a few seconds. And there will be a much better retention of those dentures in the mouth. But meet a dentist at a later date for a refabrication, or we do something called a remaking of these dentures once they are comfortable to travel. And the next major was teeth sensitivity. Tooth sensitivity, if you have it against tooth sensitivity, is again another common problem which most of us have. If you have it against cold foods, it is definitely a common sense that you don't take any cold foods. You may also, I would suggest you to take a few of the toothpaste, like one Vantage or Colgate Sensitive Pro Relief. These are few toothpaste which can help you alleviate you out of the sensitivity issue. The trick is that wherever you are feeling sensitive, for example, you have a sensitivity on the lower front teeth, take a pea-sized of these toothpaste, apply it in that area, wait for 2 minutes to 5 minutes time, then brush your teeth, so that the medicine works around. And you may also have food stuck between your teeth, which can be easily removed using a dental floss or something. This is a dental floss. There is also something called a Proxa brush. This is nothing but something like your feeding bottle cleaner, feeding bottle brush. So what we do is we pass it between the areas of the tooth. Please do not use any toothpicks to pick that area. If you use a toothpick, again, microorganism can be pushed inside, which can cause further gum issues. So make sure that you clean it with a mouthwash and use a Proxa brush or a floss. Then if you develop a toothache, the simplest medicine may be a paracetamol, crocin. If it doesn't subside, use something called a Combiflam, but this is not supposed to be used along with for an asthmatic. However, if the pain is increasing, or if you have something called a swelling like this, please go to the nearest hospital. This is a situation called Ludwig's angina, which can spread to your windpipe as well. So having said all that, having said all that, we are taking a lot of efforts in our clinic. At least this is usually we this is how now a dentist treats you. uh, this is how a typical dental surgery looks like, especially at our clinic. So, and when it is an aerosol, because they talk a lot about aerosol procedures, we have also air purifiers which are put into dental clinics, where even the virus, they say the virus, these are all medical grade HEPA filters, they can be also used in the, what do you call, in your home as well. So these make your treatment safe. We have been also employing, following all the measures. For example, if a patient walks in, we make sure that their temperature level to oxygen saturation, their history of travel, their close proximity to any any patients affected with COVID-19. So we take a lot of history, make sure that they come in and go out, make sure that they are safe, we are safe. And we at Gold Dental, we have been employing all the safety measures that the Dental Council and as well as the WHO has been recommending. And before actually, I'm on the way to taking questions from you. Before moving further, I would also say that recent researchers state that even a COVID-19 patient also has a few oral health issues post-COVID, such as your opportunistic fungal infections because of lot of antibiotics and antiviral drugs being given to them. There is also recent studies also say that there is a little bit of xerostomia. Xerostomia is nothing but dryness of your mouth and ulcerations and also gum disease, and soon a huge clan of post-COVID patients may have a lot of dental issues also alongside. So if you know someone, they may also, once their COVID situation comes down, it is advisable to visit a dentist to make sure that dental health is also, taken care. So as we know, before we close, to safeguard against the pandemic, we are advised to, you wear the mask, to probably not meet any safe distance, then avoid touching your face, wash your hands, etc., etc. I would also suggest something extra, something which can be very, very effective in terms of reducing your microbial load, which is nothing but using a mouthwash. A simple mouthwash can actually reduce your viral load from your mouth, because there are a few studies which say that the initial load of this virus is in the mouth as well as in the throat. So using something called a povidone iodine or a betadine, you would have seen it in this is it is less than $100 for a small bottle. And if you can dilute it to 1:1, and whenever you go out, venture out, meet someone, you can probably, if you can gargle little bit of povidone iodine along with your sanitizer, this is going to go way ahead of whatever in your treatment. And we also follow all these protocols alongside to our patients, so that we are safe, you are safe. And I think that's it. This is my clinic. This is in OMR Thoraipakkam. We have been functioning even during the lockdown times. We have been catering to all the emergency treatments, and we have other other hospitals at Tirumalai Vail and Krompet, and that ends it. And I would be glad to take up questions now, and I would be glad to answer a few questions. Hope I did not run out of time. Over to Vaishnavi or Janashri.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Dr. Prem Alex. And it was like a very easy, understandable for a lame person like me, because I haven't introduced any, biotechnology. I'm not related to biotechnology field, though it was very lucid form, so that even a common people can understand your presentation very easily. And it was very interesting. And probably most of the common things people go around in their life was all you explained about, and we had a good information all about that, and we have aware of what we have to do in that pandemic situations. And viewers are, I guess you will be having a diligent work here. So many questions have been arised. So let me go for first question.
Yeah.
So Tamil Vanan SS asked, while kissing cause boosting of immunology?
Certain studies also say that they say the partners actually share the same kind of oral microbiome. So if someone is having a very good, immune system and all those things, definitely it is going to help. But I would say, right now, better maintain a little bit of social distancing.
Okay. So next, what is the reason for black color gum? How gum disease cause cancer?
Black color gums, black color gums is nothing but like, like something like your melanin pigmentation, like how your face and your skin can take melanin pigment. Similarly, gums also take up a little bit of, some gums are also, certain people have very pinkish coral. We call it coral pink is the healthy gums. But in Indian population, we never see that coral pink. We always see a kind of, blackish pink, or, it is always red and kind of there. So black gums definitely indicates that you have a lot of melanin in your gums. This can be also treated with laser. We do some procedure called depigmentation, where we remove the melanin pigment. But this again comes back in say 2 years time. It has to be repeated. I have a couple of celebrities who get it done once in 2 years time. And regarding cancers, this P. gingivalis can travel and enter into your bloodstream and cause pancreatic cancer, according to a study. I can share you the study. Right now, I don't have it in there. There are few studies which connect the P. gingivalis to pancreatic cancer.
Okay. I guess that answers Thamiravanan's question. And we have one more. How using neem sticks for brushing teeth in traditional times is useful for controlling pathogenic organisms? This is asked by Lavanya Prada.
Okay. I have seen Amazon selling neem sticks. That's one. Traditionally, we use neem sticks. I would still suggest that, neem sticks are still good. I wouldn't say that, it's not great, not good or anything like that. But make sure that these things don't, hurt your gums. Because we have a toothbrush where the bristles are soft and all those things. We have different diameters of the bristle diameter. We call it as a hard, medium, or soft. And when we are advised to use only soft toothbrush, and we cannot know what kind of fiber will come out of a neem stick, and it can injure your gums, or it can also kind of scratch your enamel surface. Maybe chewing onto it, I'm fine, but brushing alone with that, I am still not happy with that. Maybe as an adjuvant, you can use it.
Okay. So again, Thamiravannan, what about the giggle of salt warm water in everyday morning? Yeah, this was also a question rise in my own mind. So
goggling
so
salt.
It's like not
water.
giggle, actually, it's goggle.
Yeah.
So what if we goggle salt warm water? How does it help us?
Gargling your salt water is definitely going to maintain your, the homogeneous, what do you call that? It is definitely good for your but I would also advise you to use a mouthwash, because mouthwash is readily available. It contains a triclosan or some antibacterial and antiseptic products along with which is going to reduce your microbial load in your mouth. So I would, yes, if there is no availability of a mouthwash, salt water is going to help.
But this is my own opinion. In my experience, I have felt like when I use the mouthwash, I feel it's very strong. Yeah. Very gigantic to get into my mouth. When I goggle, I feel something is pinching on my mouth and sticking to it.
There are few mouthwashes. Yeah, to answer that, there are few mouthwashes which are actually, I don't like to advertise any brand here, but there are few mouthwashes which, like, say, over-the-counter mouthwashes, like your triclosan containing mouthwashes, which also does not contain alcohol, will not create that burning sensation in your mouth. And I would suggest you to actually dilute the mouthwash 1:1 dilution. Like, take a equal amount of water, make sure that it is diluted, and then when you gargle, the effect is going to be the same, but your burning sensation is going to be not there. Yeah. There is a particular mouthwash called chlorhexidine, which is a medicated mouthwash, which also stains your teeth, because where we prescribe is post-surgical procedures. We prescribe to patients where we will know whether the patient has used, because if the patient comes back in a week's time with a lot of stained teeth, that means that he has used properly. So there are few mouthwashes which are very, very strong. the over-the-counter mouthwash which are available in with all the flavors and all those things, if you can dilute it in 1:1 dilution, it should be fine.
Okay, thank you. So next question.
Dr. Janashri here. Can you just close the slide so that we'll be able to see the video?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now we will pass on to next question from Kanmani. Is it necessary for the healthy teeth to look white?
No, not exactly. Indian color is actually yellowish white. But if you are in a cosmetic industry or an entertainment industry, people want a very white teeth. We do something called bleaching, which are safe bleaching where it doesn't affect your enamel or anything like that. So it is not necessary that you need to have white teeth, but yes, it is. If you want to get it, there are possibilities. But Indian color is actually yellowish white. Indian natural shade is yellowish white.
Okay. So next question by Nandini Muthu. What is the best method to avoid bad smell or bleeding in teeth?
See again, what I told you, when there is a bleeding in the gums as well as when you have a bad smell, it is indicative of that you have some kind of gum problem. So you will have to make sure that you meet your dentist, make sure that you have cleaning done. We do something called a normal scaling, and then we do something called alongside we do something called a deep cleaning if required. So these things will completely reduce your bleeding as well as stop your halitosis or your bad breath. So if you are having bad breath, it is indicative that you have some form of gum disease.
Okay. While talking about this gum disease, one question is rising in my mind, like what relates to this gum disease exactly? Is that a problem with the gastronomy of our own body, which affects the mouth, or the mouth, as you told, the microorganism, bad organism that causes a gastric problem? So what is related here?
Absolutely, it is only the mouth that is that is creating all the trouble. When you have a gum disease, usually one exception will be your uncontrolled diabetes, where gum disease is accentuated, because everybody will have bacteria. Even any healthy mouth will have bacteria. When the bacteria, when there is a lot of plaque, when there is that is why we say meet a dentist once in a year. When there is a plaque in the mouth, and when it is left undisturbed for say 48 hours to 72 hours, it starts attracting all the the calcium from the salivary glands. So it forms something called a tartar. So tartar is kind of a rough surface where these bacteria can form a habitat and start irritating your gums. So it all starts from your mouth, and it is not from the gut. And the reverse happens. Gut issues start from the mouth many a times.
Yeah. So it might be a symptoms.
Yeah. It can be.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Raja Rajan, how would you determine when dental X-rays are needed?
Dental X-rays are usually one of the safest form. Right now, we use something called digital X-rays, where the amount of exposure is very, very less. Dental X-rays are advised when you have a decay, or when to find out, say, for example, you have a pain in the tooth, and we need to find out whether the pain is arising from a decay or from the gum disease. So when we take an X-ray, we get an idea where the exact problem is brewing, whether there is a decay, because in an X-ray, the tooth will be seen as a very white structure. When there is a decay, there will be the radiolucency around that area, which we can identify and take action. To take action to do a treatment, we definitely need an X-ray.
Extra. Yeah. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So next is thrown by Sandra Josh. Bleeding gum in the morning, is that a symptom for any other disorder?
See, bleeding gums have a lot of other issues also, but majorly get it checked from your dentist. To tell you again an incident that happened exactly 10 days back, where a patient came to me with a bleeding gums, and the moment I saw it, I could sense that it is some other issue, and I checked. I forwarded the patient to another hematologist, and she's now getting treatment for leukemia. So many issues are first seen in the mouth. So get to meet your dentist whenever possible, because not always a normal bleeding gums is just from the gums. It can be also something related to your general situation, general condition as well.
Okay. This is one of my question again, prompting on my mind. So I haven't got any cavities in my mouth from my childhood. I mean, from the day I born. So I haven't went to any dentist yet for any reasons of or any disease or something like that. But I could have this kind of blood while brushing, not from the gum intentionally, yeah. But I could, when I spit, I could feel a little blood mixed with the saliva. So is that a problem? Should I go to a doctor?
I would advise you probably to look at your brush. If it is not continuous, say on 7 days of in a week, if you get 5 times bleeding, definitely it means that there is some gum disease. But an on and off, it can be because of some toothbrush trauma, because we tend to overuse the toothbrush at times, because once the toothbrush bristles fray, we will have to discard the brush. But at times, we use it for a long time, and this toothbrush bristles can poke your gums and also cause bleeding. So it all depends on how often, what is the frequency of your bleeding. Depending on that, it is wiser to meet a dentist. And it doesn't do any harm if you meet a dentist once in a year, at least.
Yeah, I'll try to make it up an appointment. So next question is from Devi.
Yeah.
Growth of extra teeth can cause any disorder, sir?
Come again?
Growth of extra teeth can cause any disorders?
Growth of extra teeth, we call it as a supernumerary tooth. At times they cause an issue with the occlusion or the biting pattern, because if you have a additional tooth there, this can cause in Tamil they say tettipal and all those things. It can cause derangement of your biting pattern, which can cause a lot of other issues, such as again a secondary, we call it secondary gum disease, which can happen because of traumatic gum disease, which can happen because of this. And there are patients who may even lose teeth. So what we usually advise is that we remove the extra teeth, go for a braces or alignment, correct those alignments and get it done, get it corrected, so that the occlusion or the biting forces maintained properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next question is should by Surya Palani. Are there any connectivity between oral microbiome and tooth sensitivity?
Not exactly. Tooth sensitivity is caused by 2-3 different things. One is that your decay. The most common thing will be when you have a decay. This decay can, before it progresses into a full-blown disease, it gives you sensitivity. So when you eat something cold or hot, you get sensitivity or a mild pain in your teeth. Or it can be also due to your gum disease. When you have a gum disease, what happens is that the outside part is your enamel, but the part that is present inside your bone contains a more permeable structure called cementum. These can it can sense the thermal changes and cause sensitivity. But sensitivity is a byproduct of the issue created by a gum disease or bacteria, and it is not directly a symptom that is caused by bacteria.
Okay. So next question. And as bad breath has something to do with other health ointments, and can the gap between 2 teeth be reduced naturally?
See, bad breath can also be due to other your respiratory issues as well as your gastric issues as well. But the major contributor, 80% of the time, it is the bad breath originates from the mouth. You may have some decay or some gum disease which can cause bad breath. Rest of the time is if eliminate all the causative factor in the mouth, and then probably look for conditions in the respiratory as well as your gastric. What was the second question he asked?
Second is can the gap between 2 teeth be reduced naturally?
Naturally, it doesn't get reduced. We will have to, the gap has to be closed either with a filling material, or as I told you, the braces can be worn which can close these gaps to make sure that the gaps are not seen.
So Then Raja Rajan, why should I consider dental implant?
Okay. Dental implant is nothing but, it is nothing but a replacement for a missing tooth. Teeth is the one. For example, if I am having 5 fingers and I have a little bit of infection, will we chop it off? We will try to heal it. But in mouth alone, we once the teeth gets infected and it has gone to a level where it cannot be saved, we remove the teeth. Once one tooth is removed, for example, I remove my lower molar or lower one of the first molar, I remove it. Once that is removed, the upper counterpart is useless after a point because it has to get in connection. There is no guide to it. So what you tend to do is you use the left side to eat, the other side to eat. And what happens on here is that wherever the gap is there, the tooth behind will try to encroach to the front, and the upper tooth also tries to come down. So what happens? There is a derangement of your occlusion, which causes jaw pain, TMJ pain, temporomandibular joint pain. All these things can happen. So any tooth that is removed needs to be replaced either by a removable option or by a bridge or by an implant. So the implants are there for the past 60, 70 years. So definitely implants are the most versatile form of dental treatment right now because they have a success rate of close to 98%. So yes, if you ask me if you don't have a medical issue or any other thing that limits you from getting an implant, then implants will be your primary choice.
Yeah. So then Kirtana Manoharan has this question. She have removed impacted wisdom tooth on the same spot twice. Is it normal to have 2 wisdom tooth eruption on the same spot?
I don't know. The first X-ray itself should have revealed that there are an additional tooth. We have something called a supernumerary tooth or an extra tooth. We call it distomolar. It can happen. After the 3rd molar, you can have a 4th molar. We call it as distomolar. So these are very rare scenario. Maybe you are blessed and you are 1 in a million who has that. And the first dentist who removed your wisdom tooth should have actually identified with an X-ray. He should have identified. Maybe I don't know the exact scenario, so I cannot comment on it. But yes, you can have an additional tooth.
Okay. And one more is also there. Is RCT better or removing the damaged tooth?
Again, the previous question answers if you have an infection of one of the finger, you will not clip it off. So we as dentists right now, we try to conserve as much as possible. Whenever there is a decay, we don't. There was a time when, say in 1960s, there was a theory called focal infection theory. They said any ailment of the body, it is connected to the tooth. So what they will do is they will remove all the teeth and make sure that there is no teeth in the body. But right now, that theory is not proved. So we try to save the maximum amount of tooth structure as well as at the earlier stage itself. I would say even avoid getting a root canal done, because the moment you find a small decay spot, get it filled. That is going to preserve the tooth for your lifetime, and you need not undergo all these root canals or removal of tooth or implants per se. So the earlier, it is going to be better as well as cheaper. Thank you.
Yeah. And Joseph asked, if a person has 2 teeth front and back in same place instead of single teeth, will it cause any problem? Does that arise? Does that has to be removed in any case?
Yes, definitely. Of course, if it is, usually the 2 teeth are arranged in a U-shaped pattern. If it is not present in a U-shaped pattern, if there is disharmony of any of these things, definitely we will have to correct it using braces. Maybe what he is suggesting is he might be still having his milk tooth in mouth. If it is the milk tooth is the problem, we will have to remove the milk tooth, make sure that this tooth is brought to the area where it should originally be. If it is an additional tooth, then as I told previously, the additional tooth or the supplementary tooth or the extra tooth is usually removed out of the mouth, and then the rest of the things are corrected. So yes.
Yeah. Joseph, we hope we have answered your question. And Raja Rajan again, how often should I get a dental checkup?
Dental checkup, if you have a gum problem or if you have an issue which has been already treated, I would advise you to visit a dentist every once in 6 or 9 months. Otherwise, I would suggest once in a year, just go say hi to the dentist. He will check your teeth. If there is any issue that is brewing, he will treat it at the starting stage itself. Rest of the things, if you are a gum disease patient, usually I meet my gum patients, gum problem patients once in 6 months for the first 2 years, and then once in a year. So it depends on your condition, what is really. But on a general basis, if you don't have major issues, it is advisable to meet a dentist once in a year.
Yeah, like me. At least once in a year I have to go. So, Benno Suzai, what do you advise for mouth ulcer to children?
Mouth ulcers in children can also happen because of this, because children are also, suffering from undue stress nowadays, because of all the exams, and usually these mouth ulcers come during exams or when they take some medicines. So improve their vitamin intake, probably in the form of your food, or probably supplements. Take some supplements, and when they get a mouth ulcer, definitely home care remedies, like I have seen people applying ghee or even butter. That also to an extent works. If it is painful, because these are all usually self-limiting ulcers unless it is a viral infection. If when it is self-limiting, make sure that area is clean, and you apply an antiseptic or the medicines I had told you, mucopain or Dolagel CT. These can keep that area clean and make sure that the healing becomes faster. If it doesn't heal for, say, a week's time, meet a dentist.
Yeah. Santosh Vincent asked, can you suggest the treatment for painful mouth ulcer?
Yeah, the same thing. Treatment is, initially it is only palliative. Make sure that whatever causative factor is removed. If it is stress, reduce your stress. If it is some kind of a medicine, meet your general physician if that is causing the gum mouth ulcer. And simple, these gels, Dolagel CT and mucopain, these are over-the-counter drugs which can help you, and in 2 days' time you should be fine.
Okay, doctor, is that stress, making ourselves stressed, cause this ulcer? Mouth ulcer.
Stress is one of the cause for mouth ulcers. So if your profession or your personal things can actually be influenced, because the only time I got a mouth ulcer was just before my PG exam. So it is definitely associated along with stress.
Obviously I'll be getting. So what if the person working in front of a laptop all the time, like me, like I'm a computer science student, so 24/7, yeah, sometimes I won't even sleep. So it's like, does that cause stress? Yeah, definitely it will cause stress. Does that prompt the mouth ulcer for me?
Alteration of sleep pattern can actually cause, but otherwise laptop is not going to cause any. Sitting in front of laptop is definitely not going to cause.
Because I have heard from my mother saying, like, heat will be produced from the laptop, so don't sit for a long time, your body will be like.
Now, when your mother suggests, I cannot negate it. I will go with it. But I wouldn't say that those are primary causes, but the stress that is inside your laptop can cause, such as the social nowadays. People want likes, people want comments. So that can actually cause a stress indirectly in your, can cause psychological stress, which can lead to these. Again, this is one of the cause. There are other issues also. It can be also traumatic. At times we bite our cheeks, we bite our lips. That can also,
yeah. So Raghu asked, what do we do for look at white teeth?
White teeth. White teeth, the fixation towards Indians for being white, having white teeth is really there. But as I told you, healthy teeth will be always yellowish white. And there are certain patients who think that by brushing vigorously we can make it white, and they buy hard toothbrush. Try to brush.
They brush long
time. And what happens eventually is that they erode the enamel or abrade the enamel. And below the enamel, we have something called dentine, which is actually yellow in color. So excessive brushing will actually make your teeth yellow and not white. But if you want a whiter tooth, whiter teeth, we have something called, as I told you, we do something called bleaching with a few safe, chemicals, which can be applied onto the enamel, which will increase the shade by at least 2 times, shade of the teeth by at least 2 times. And this can be repeated. This usually we get, people who are getting married, people who are in entertainment industry, they get it done. But if you're an ardent coffee drinker, if you're a tea drinker, and probably eat a lot of fast foods, which contains a lot of food colorants, these, whatever bleaching you do, or a cigarette smoker or a pan chewer, whatever whatever whitening we do, in 6 months time it goes back to normal. But even if someone doesn't have all these habits, the whitened teeth will remain for around 2 years time, and again it will you will warrant a whitening again.
Okay, so after bleaching also, after 1 or 2 years, it will be, yellow again.
Exactly. Because our eating pattern, our we eat a lot of food that stains our teeth. So obviously, though the teeth looks very polished, there are micro cracks in the tooth which will absorb all these colorants, and they can take that color and become one.
That's what I guess. Raghu, you will be looking spunky with your innate teeth, so don't worry. Kavita Suresh questioned, Doctor, as we are running out of time, I'll just speed up the questions. So, what is the reason for cross tooth after a milk teeth is broken? How can we get rid of this from? At home.
Okay. See, milk tooth is broken or milk tooth is removed. Milk tooth is
it's like reason for crisscross teeth after a milk teeth is broken.
Broken. Okay. Broken matlab, the tooth, milk tooth has to totally come out of the mouth. If it is broken, the part of the tooth will be still inside. So what happens is, once the tooth is out only, the milk teeth, the permanent teeth will be present below your milk teeth or milk tooth. So once the milk tooth comes off, the permanent tooth erupts. If there is a discrepancy in this, if the milk tooth remains there for some reason, or it doesn't fall off, the permanent tooth takes a different direction, comes out either outside or inside. So this is a very common phenomenon. So what we see is this. Maybe we see it in 9 to 10 years old of age kids. So what we do is we remove the milk tooth, we align the teeth using braces when they are 13 years, 14 years, so that those the permanent teeth can come into the position. But if it has fractured, if it has broken, meet a dentist, make sure that the root of the milk tooth is removed as soon as possible, because that can infect your jaw.
Yeah. So I guess we are done with our question session. Viewers, I know you have been questioning too much of your clarifications, but since we are running out of time, unfortunately, we have to close our sessions. And I would like to hand over this session to, Janashree. So she will take over this. Thanks a lot, Doctor, for having this wonderful session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vaishnavi.
This was an awesome session, and we took a lot of good positive vibes from you, and also you were talking about what is the real emergency and what is the fake emergency, and when to actually go see the doctor per se and when not to. And it was such an awesome opportunity for us to get to know all these things. Thank you so much, Dr. Prem Lawrence. I also would like to thank Dr. Shamini, CEO of our Organotech, for conducting this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shamini and team. Thank you for the opportunity.